Okay, so I'm going to be going through my thoughts on Secret Invasion. First, I'm going to give my non-spoiler thoughts, and then I'm going to give my spoiler thoughts. So that way, if you haven't seen Secret Invasion yet, you may be on the fence about it, you can hear what I thought without getting spoiled. Secret Invasion is about a group of Skrulls that feel like they have to wipe out all of humanity so that they can have a home on Earth, and Nick Fury with his allies are basically trying to put a stop to it. And adding to the conflict between these two parties is the fact that no one can be trusted due to the Skrulls' ability to shapeshift and take the place of anyone that they see fit. I really loved this show. I think it's definitely top 3 MCU Disney Plus series. I think, slightly behind WandaVision and even maybe Loki. It's not as good as Captain America Winter Soldier, but it is better than Falcon and Winter Soldier. It definitely has the vibes of these two projects. I really loved the relatively small cast size. The smaller cast size definitely, I think, helps with this show. It does feel pretty slow paced at times, which is kind of disappointing for a 6-episode show, but honestly, I didn't mind the slower pace. I do wish that it had 9 episodes or maybe even more, because I feel like it could have benefited from, more time to let things simmer. Another thing is this show is much more graphic than the other MCU Disney Plus series so far. It's definitely more bloodier. It's somewhat outright gory, but not really. There's certain scenes where it's really bad, and some where it's almost like a blink and you'll miss it type thing. But it is definitely something to note if you are squeamish about that type of stuff. So while Secret Invasion is a sequel, and I'm putting air quotes around that because it's not really, to Captain Marvel, you don't necessarily need to have seen Captain Marvel to understand this show. Much like all the sequels and follow-up projects within the MCU, you definitely have more of an understanding of what's going on if you have seen the projects previously, in this case Captain Marvel, but the show does a pretty good job of giving you all the information that you need so that you're not completely lost watching Secret Invasion. So, do you have to have seen Captain Marvel? Not really, but you can check it out if you want more context, I guess, for this show. So now I'm going to be moving into spoiler territory. So if you have not seen Secret Invasion, go watch it. Come back here, because you will be spoiled. It's the reality. There's a lot of spoiler things happening. I think one of the major things that I really enjoyed about this show was the excuse for why the superheroes couldn't just come in and save the day, and that they acknowledged it in universe. Because, it's simple to sit there and be just call on the superheroes, call on Captain Marvel, call on Thor, call on all these really superpowered heroes to come in and help fight the Skrull invasion. But the show didn't do that. And the fact that they acknowledged it within the show is something that I wasn't necessarily expecting them to do, but I'm glad that they did, with the whole, they would find themselves duplicated, and much like Fury, find themselves in some hot water with the law. So I really enjoyed that. One, we didn't get, these major superheroes coming in to save the day, but that they also acknowledged it within universe. I think that was really cool. Another thing that I loved was Everett Ross being revealed as a Skrull in the first few moments of episode 1. It's such a bizarre thing, and the scene definitely felt off. I was like, okay, Everett Ross is definitely a Skrull in this moment, but it was just the fact that right out of the gate, they gave us, a character that we know, but not very well in terms of like characters that they could have had. And just like reveal that, oh, Skrull. Like, it definitely eased us into, the reveal of larger Skrulls within the show, but also potentially within the greater MCU verse. But speaking of larger Skrulls within this show, I also really love that Rhodey was a Skrull. Like, it makes sense. We saw within the show that the Skrulls were taking place of high-ranking officials within governments across the globe, and it could have been the president, but instead it was Rhodey. And by giving us this moment where a character that we know, a character that we love, a character that we've known for years, like, technically Rhodey debuted in Iron Man. Like, yes, played by a different actor, but Rhodey is a character that we have seen, that we have gotten to know, that we've gotten to love, and to see the fact that, he was a Skrull definitely, set the bar for proving that you can't trust anyone and that anyone can be a Skrull. But also, like, kind of, like, did they reveal in the end of episode 6? And I'm genuinely asking because I feel like they kind of maybe did when they freed the Skrulls and Rhodey was sort of toppling over and Gaia's like, oh, you've been, kidnapped for a long time. Was that a hint at the fact that, like, maybe this was after Civil War, after Rhodey had that fall from the sky and was sort of like, paralyzed? 'Cause yikes. That means, he's gonna have a Yelena moment at some point where he's gonna learn that Tony died, and yeah. But either way, I really loved that Rhodey was a Skrull because, like I said, it's a character that we've known and loved for so long that naturally, like, it hits you like he's a Skrull, and like anybody can be a Skrull and you can't trust anybody, and I absolutely love that choice. I also love that we got like an explanation for how Vara chose to become Priscilla, and it wasn't like a nefarious way like we see with like the other people that have become Skrulls, where they were kidnapped and held prisoner and unconscious for who knows how long. Like, Vara literally was like, so yeah, Priscilla, you're dying, and can I potentially take your face and your place in society? And presumably Priscilla agreed. I kind of wish we got maybe like a flashback to that, but like, we don't need to do this. We could just ask dying people maybe if we can, take their face. I don't know. But I do love that Vara, who was very, very sketch for a while there, got to show sort of this, I'm not a complete monster. I did ask the dying Priscilla if I could take her place, essentially. And that was nice. Okay, another thing I loved, Sonya Falsworth. Okay, so Olivia Colman is an absolute gem. I'm gonna say that. But the character of Sonya was like hilarious and ruthless and kind of sketchy, and it was like, whose side is she on? Like, I still don't think we know by the end of the show whose side she is on. Like, we kind of see that she's on Fury's side. We kind of see that she's willing to work with Skrulls, but I still don't know whose side she's on. And like I said, I love Olivia Colman. I love Sonya. Can she be in every MCU project from now on? Please and thank you. But speaking of Sonya, I loved, the potential Sonya and Gaia future team up. Like, here's the thing. I don't think it's going to go well for anybody. Like, let's be real. Sonya, super sketch. Gaia, she does seem to be on the side of good, but she was on the side of bad. So, do I think this is going to work out well for both of them? Any of them? No. Am I here for a future team up between Sonya and Gaia? Yes. 100% here for it. I want it. Yeah. Now we come to the one where I was like, do I put this in what I didn't like because I genuinely didn't love it? But I decided to put it in what I liked, and that is Maria Hill's death. This show literally was like, Maria Hill, great. You're going to be front and center with Fury. Cool. By the end of episode 1, she's dead. What? I don't like that they killed her off. I don't. But what I do like is kind of what came out of it. And even though nothing really happened further with that, to have Maria Hill killed at the end of episode 1 really kind of set the stage that not only can you not trust anyone, but literally anyone is expendable. Nobody is safe in this show. And I love that. Like, I think it was such a smart idea. And even though really other than Talos, what are we calling him? Depends on where you're from, I guess. We didn't have any major hero deaths. But it did keep us on the edge of our seats because it was like, well, anything can happen. No one's safe. Like, I'm still angry though that they killed Maria Hill because I feel like she could have been in more. She could have done more. But R.I.P. Maria Hill and R.I.P. Talos. But yeah. Now, the other thing that I really loved was the big battle in episode 6. We knew it was coming. It's a Marvel project. Every final episode has to have some sort of big life and death battle. But I loved that the battle was between Gravik and Gaia. Like, it made sense. Because from Gaia's perspective, Gravik killed Soren. Gravik killed Talos. I will be getting to those shortly. But from Gaia's side, it's like, yeah, you killed my mother, you killed my father, you tried to kill me. No, you gotta go. And from Gravik's side, he's just, he's insane. But, like, while it was nice to get to see sort of the more grounded, non-superpowered people getting the chance to be front and center, that was great. But it wasn't gonna work because we needed somebody on the same level of not just Gravik as a Skrull, but Gravik as a super Skrull, to be the one to take him down in the end, because otherwise you have an Ant-Man and the Wasp situation where it's like, I don't know if this is the right choice. So I do love that it was Super Skrull Gravik and Super Skrull Gaia, because she did become sort of a Super Skrull. And also, they both ended up having the DNA of some of the most powerful Avengers. Like, And we got to see that sort of come out in this big battle where they sort of took on the powers and the abilities of these powerful Avengers. Love that. Do I think Gravik is dead? Maybe, but I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him pop back up, because he has the powers of Extremis and we saw him use it several times, and we saw that Gaia with the powers of Extremis was able to revive herself after being shot. So is Gravik dead? Possibly. Would not be surprised to see him show up alive at some point though either. So yeah, but it's also really interesting that Gaia now has the powers of pretty much every single superpowered Avenger in the MCU. Like, could be interesting to see where she goes with that, especially because she is sort of this wild card. Like, she's on Team Hero now. She wasn't necessarily at the beginning of the show. She does have the ability to sort of waver back and forth between good and bad, and could be interesting to see where they take Gaia in the future with all these powers. Now, granted, there's not much I didn't like in this show, but there's a few things that I didn't particularly love. First off, Soren killed off screen. Just why? Why do we come into Secret Invasion and literally be like, yeah, Soren died off screen before the show? Are you kidding me? What? Like, just other than to really sort of give Gaia that first push to maybe like not side with Gravik 100%, there was no logical reason why we killed Soren. There was definitely no logical reason why we killed Soren off screen. Like, I think it could have been really impactful to have, you know, Soren die within this show. Like, maybe after Maria Hill, before Talos. I don't know. But I don't know why she needed to be killed off screen. Truly, I don't know. But yeah, Soren's gone. Didn't like that. Another thing I didn't like, Talos' death. Like, I saw it coming. And arguably, I could have put this under what I liked because, again, similarly to Maria Hill, it's like nobody's safe. But I feel like there was more oomph with Maria Hill's death in episode 1 versus Talos' death in, I don't even remember what episode it was. But later on in the series, towards the end, it was like, I think it was episode 4, maybe, or 5. 4 or 5, I can't remember. But it's like, okay, yes, again, that was the final push that Gaia needed to switch sides, but like, did Talos need to die? I don't think so. But whatever. It happened. Another thing that I didn't particularly love was the fact that Gravik became too much of like a cartoony villain by the end. Like, he started off strong, quasi level-headed for a villain, I guess. There was sort of this genuine reason to be angry at Fury, and apparently only Fury and Talos, I guess. But by like the halfway mark, he became too like mustache twirling villain. Like, it was like, okay, dude, like, chill. Like, when he's like, yep, we're gonna sacrifice ourselves, we're gonna just have them bomb the Skrull compound. It's like, are you insane? I mean, of course you're insane, but like, are you insane? Like, it was like, they could have kept him more grounded and maybe not be too much of a cartoony villain by the end, because I feel like he was a better villain when it started. You know, a villain with a logical reasoning on some level is a better villain than a I'm just going to be insane type of villain, at least for me. So the fact that Gravik became too mustache twirly cartoony villain. That didn't jive with me. I was like, no. Another thing I didn't love, and this goes back to the violence. The scene where Talos stabbed Gravik's hand and pinned it to the table, and then Gravik pulls his hand out of the knife and splitting it, and like, yeah, he healed his hand, but that was too much. I feel like I can handle violence and blood and stuff like that on some level, but like that scene in particular was just too much. Like, I was able to handle the, Sonya chopping off the finger, even though I was like, that's a little intense. But like the splitting of the hand, and they focused on that scene so much, and it was like the heebie-jeebies. I did not like that at all. I was like, no, make it stop. So yeah, I feel like this is really the project where they're sort of pushing the boundaries a little bit more, and I think that's, for the future projects that we know are coming. The Daredevil Born Again and Deadpool 3, like, they're trying to see how well we can handle it. And the truth is, on some level, I feel like I can handle it as long as we're not splitting hands through knives. That was the line. That was the line. I was like, no, I'm out. Okay, so this is really an interesting situation because in terms of cameos, there wasn't many. Like, I was genuinely surprised by the fact that we didn't have any huge cameos. I mean, I did a whole video before Secret Invasion premiered, before I did my Secret Invasion trailer reaction, about, where I looked at Screen Rant's article about possible Secret Invasion cameos. And while some of them were far-fetched, I'm looking at you, Melinda May and Daisy Johnson, I'm looking at you. Some of them felt genuinely plausible, like, Carol Danvers or Monica Rambeau. We didn't get any of that. We did, however, get Rick Mason from Black Widow, the one who got Natasha the Quinjet and all that. Did not have him appearing in the show on my bingo card. But yeah, he showed up. He was really the only cameo we got. If we're talking about name drop cameos, we did get a Dreykov mention in the flashbacks. So don't worry, Dreykov not mentioned in the present day. But back in the 90s, we got a Dreykov name drop, and it's like, okay, yeah, no, we're doing that. But no physical person cameos other than Rick Mason, who I did not have on my bingo card. Did anybody have Rick Mason on their bingo card? I'm really curious. But yeah, I'm kind of surprised that we didn't have any major cameos. I mean, I don't know. I don't necessarily dislike that we didn't have any major cameos, but surprised, yeah. I kind of expected it. But, I mean, this whole show subverted my expectations, so we just have to deal with the Rick Mason cameo, and that's it. Did I have to add this in here? No, because there was not a single post-credit scene anywhere in this show. We had 6 episodes. 0 post-credit scenes. 0. Zip. Zilch. Nada. None of them. No post-credit scenes. I don't even know what to do with that. We didn't have any post-credit scenes. Not even one in the finale. Potentially setting up the Marvels, which I kind of thought maybe we would get. Fury going up on the space station, going up there, seeing Monica Rambeau. I don't know, something. But no post-credit scenes, and if I'm being honest, I don't know if I'm not mad at it. I've settled on. I'm not mad at the fact that we didn't have any post-credit scenes. It does end sort of with a closed book type thing, but yet an open-ended situation. Like, it's really weird. It feels very contained, but it feels like it could continue. I don't know. I was just sort of maybe expecting a post-credit scene in the finale setting up the Marvels. We didn't get that. Post-credit scene anywhere in the show setting up anything. Didn't get that either. Not mad at it. So overall, I really loved this show. It was a lot of fun. I think it took what didn't necessarily work with Falcon and Winter Soldier and somehow made it work a little bit better. But there were, hits and misses along the way. I do enjoy the fact that it wasn't afraid to pull the punches in terms of, deaths and, Rhodey being a Skrull and Everett Ross being a Skrull and all that. I don't think there's going to be a season 2. I really hope that there is, though. But, if there's not a season 2, and maybe even if there is, I do hope that this idea that anyone can be a Skrull continues to sort of carry on throughout the greater MCU. But I also hope that they don't go overboard with it either, and it's like, oh yeah, everybody was a Skrull. Fun, have fun. I really don't want them to go overboard with it, but the idea of, not knowing who we can trust and not knowing, who is a Skrull and who isn't is such a fun idea that I hope that we get to see sort of carried forward throughout the MCU. But speaking of who is a Skrull and who isn't a Skrull, I'm going to self-plug something. So I've decided to utilize the YouTube community tab post. Community tab on YouTube. And so a couple days ago, actually it was probably about a week ago. It was a couple days ago from filming. But I posted a picture. It's on the screen somewhere. Of who you think will be revealed to be a Skrull next. So I have a few ideas about who might be Skrulls, who might not be, but I'm going to save that because I'm probably going to do a video about it. And if you guys leave your comments on that post in the community tab, you can get to it by clicking on my channel and going to the community tab. Or clicking the link in the description down below and scrolling down to the YouTube community tab. And if you comment on that post who you think will turn out to be a Skrull next, I might even feature your guesses in a potential video. So if you want to have your say, I guess, have your picks, click on the community tab, find this picture, and leave your comments about who you think will be revealed to be a Skrull next. And if you want, you can even leave a comment about when you think they were replaced by a Skrull. So like I said, go to the community tab post, comment on that picture, let me know who you think is going to be a Skrull. But comment on this video what you thought about Secret Invasion. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Do you wish that it was longer? Do you hope there's a season 2? Do you hope they never dive into Skrulls again? Let me know all your Secret Invasion thoughts in the comments down below. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you all liked it, and I will see you next time. Bye!